Good afternoon, can you all hear me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, I can hear you. Oh, there is some serious feedback. I can hear you as well. Um, Seeing as though you're the only group meeting today, I was thinking we could have you unmuted and you can just interact with me as you like. Is that okay?
It's fun.
Okay, great. So today we're going to go over family development and well, the family developing as a system, and then from there we'll look at the various stages in family development. As you would have known from your essay content, you would have written about the various family systems as well as the stages of family development. Does it sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay, so before we start, can you tell me a little bit about the family developing as a system and the various stages in family development, the developmental stages in family?
This is the time. I just know I don't know the order exactly. I just know you reach a stage where you leave the house, and then it's where you're married, and then you reach where you're parents, and then later where you're elder, and then when you retire. I know those stages, but I just don't know if they're in the correct order and stuff.
Okay, that's not a problem. I can see you have some sort of idea. And with each stage comes a certain um, something needs to happen to start that stage. Like in order to start the parenting stage, what needs to happen?
You need to have children.
Perfect, there we go. And in order to end the parenting stage, something else needs to happen, which is
Your children need to go out of the house, or you have to help them go out.
so for each stage, there's an initiating factor and a completing factor, something that starts the stage and completes the stage. So we'll go through that in more detail later on. I just want to get a sort of understanding from you how it was. Your assignments will be done by say tomorrow noon for the latest. Good afternoon.
Hi, sorry for being a bit late.
No, don't worry about it. Um, your assignments will be given in tomorrow later. I mean, sorry, not later than noon tomorrow afternoon. But before we go on, I see there's three of you. So if we could do a little, just a self introduction as to your name and surname and how you found the assignment, giving your self reflections and just how you felt writing about your family and disclosing personal details, and if it did give you some personal enlightenment or encouragement or anything like that. If we could just go around for the three of us to, well, the three of you to basically explain that. Is that okay?
Is this an assignment on what is a family?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm Ruwan Bootma.
Ruwan Bothma.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a good assignment. I struggled a bit you didn't really know which personal information to give and which to hold back on it, because all families have some good parts and bad stuff. So yeah, that was a bit hard, but I tried to do it as much as I could. And yeah, I wouldn't say the assignment was easy, but I don't think it was hard either. You had to put in some effort to because it wasn't just a single question. It was like almost two essays in one. So yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Like it required a lot of knowledge and explaining from your side. Okay, are we moving on?
I'm Chantal van der Vijver, and I enjoyed the essay because, especially with the family genogram, to find out more about my parents and stuff that I didn't really know, so that was cool. So I got to learn more about that. But otherwise, I enjoyed the essay. It was a really cool topic, and it was very, like, always easy to talk about, but yeah, you know what I mean. I learned a lot.
I'm Brazon Gutierrez. They sort of already told everything that I felt in the essay. It's interesting to learn about how your family works and to see that you're not the only ones that go through struggles and things of life. Yeah.
Okay. How do you say you pronounce your name?
Brazon.
Razan. Okay. Yes, I remember all of your essays. The reason why I asked you to mention your name is so that I can try and recall from what I wrote or from what you wrote in your essay. And most of you did fairly well. I remember all three of your essays and all three of you guys passed. So you don't have to worry about that. You guys did well. I think, Ruan, you might have been penalized for a late submission. I'm not sure.
Maybe, I think so. I was sick or something.
Okay, just try and make sure that you get your assignments in on time because you get a good mark for an essay, but then the good mark can be brought down a bit because of just maybe 1 day late or 2 days late. But that's not an issue for now.
It's 1 day late. They take 3% off.
Yes, 3%.
Okay.
Don't worry, it's not like 20% or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry. But I do feel you guys did well. It was a tough question to ask because there was a lot that you had to write about basically. So in terms of that, we weren't too strict or too hectic on you. The family genograms were good to look at. It was good to see that you guys were being open and honest about everything that you're saying. And what I did was, after each essay, when I marked it, as I marked it academically, what I also did was I just added a bit of an encouragement for you personally that I felt related to your situation, because it's not always easy to share your own personal information in an essay like that. And when I did this course, my lecturer was very, very helpful in, sorry, can I just get 1 minute? I just need to sort something out here. Is that okay? Just 1 minute.
Peanut butter. I don't speak if you're funny. Dit is so lekker hier op moraal van school. Ek dink dit is lekker as jy dit eet as jy dit thuis, want dan salty food so hard.
Okay. Sorry, where was I? Yeah, I added a personal encouragement because what we're trying to encourage in this course, yes, we want you to understand the academic and the theoretical terms and the skills and all those things, but we also want you as an individual to grow. We also want you to experience fulfillment and growth and enlightenment as an individual. We also want your own family life to become better, and that's why this is a very good assignment that was given to you, because it allows you to reflect on what is the state of my own personal life? What is the state of my own personal family? What can I do to change things? And it also allows you to reflect on what are the positive things that I can see about my family, and allows you to appreciate and be grateful about that. So it's not just academic, it is personal and enriching and enlightening as well. So there's that side to it as well. And if you see it like that, you tend to enjoy your work more, and it doesn't become like another task that you can do, but you see it as a personal development exercise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, we'll go on to developing as a family system. You guys know Jenny, right? The
Jenny?
lecturer.
Oh, yes.
We've never met her, but only on the tutorials.
Yeah.
On the lessons.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know who she is. You've seen her.
Yes.
What was the last lecture that you got from her?
So yeah.
Okay. Okay, she'll quickly check.
Okay.
Are the marks already up for the assignment?
No, they'll be out tomorrow for the latest. Tomorrow at noon. My batch is done marking your group. It's just that I need to upload it, and we're currently having some technical difficulties with logging onto Funda. So we're hoping to get that sorted, but you'll have it soon.
Okay, thanks.
Before the working week is over, you'll have your marks.
But will you say it's about 70s or 60s?
No one failed. I'll say that. No
But
one failed. You guys did well.
That's like,
There are
yeah.
certain areas that can be improved on, and there's certain areas that were done really well. So let's just hang tight until we get our marks. Is that okay?
Yeah, so.
Unit B.
What is
Unit family. Joy. How to represent families correctly.
Say that again.
We also talked about how to represent families graphically in Unit 4. In
Oh,
the
did you
second video, she's in that as well.
Okay, so today we'll talk about family as a developing system, and then we'll go through the various stages of family development. It's gonna be it's not a lot, but I'll try and get through it in the time that we have. If you do feel that I'm rushing or there's something that you don't understand, just pause me and tell me to go back, and we'll work through it. I want you guys to interact as well. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to screen share something with you now, so you won't be able to see me anymore, but you will be able to hear me. If you feel that I need to go back, or I need to stop, or I need to explain something, please let me know. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Okay, so let's start. Family developing as a system. There's various approaches when it comes to family developing. There's the system theory and there's the developmental theory. Two different theories, right? That's simple enough. Can we move on?
Yes.
Okay, so system theories. It says, in contrast to individualism, where individualism focuses on the individual, it focuses on me. My needs, my wants, what I want is the most important thing. The opposite of individualism, the family life is not the sum of the actions of the individual members, but the interactions of all family members operating as a unit of interrelated part. It considers the individual in the context of the relationship. So basically what this is saying is that in a family system theory, it's not just the individual acts that are important, but how the individual acts within the context of the family and how each individual interacts together that actually creates the system. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's basically saying one person isn't the main focus, or you on your own aren't the main focus, but all of us together and how we interact together is what makes this family function well as a system. That's simple to understand, right? Okay, so the family system theory, basically it's a body of knowledge that comes out of observation from clinical psychologists. That's basically saying where it comes from. Moving on, the theory suggests that individuals cannot be understood in isolation from one another. That's basically what I just explained now. And in the system, there must be boundaries so that everyone knows their various roles within that system. Like the child can't just come up to the parent and say, listen, I'm going to do whatever I want, I'm going to go wherever I want. There are set boundaries within the system. The child knows that these are my boundaries, these are my roles. And it's because of these boundaries within the system that allows the system to function effectively. If there are no boundaries within the system, then the system becomes chaotic and anarchy breaks out. Here we go. Just take a few seconds to look at that diagram while I just have a sip of Coke quickly. Can you see it properly?
Yes.
Okay, so the bigger circle represents the system, right? That comprises of husband, wife, son, and daughter. Within the system, there are subsystems, right? These subsystems, will comprise of the parental system, which is the husband and the wife, the mother and the father, and then the sibling subsystem, which is the brother and the sister, the son and the daughter. Within that system, there are boundaries. So the mother and the father, the parental system, act within certain boundaries of things that I don't want to say can and cannot do, but things, roles that they've assimilated that they know will be effective for the functioning of the system, of the subsystem within the larger system. Am I making sense? Am I going too fast?
Makes sense.
Okay, is it cool?
Yes.
Okay. Then you have your sibling subsystem, brother and sister, and they know that there's a set way of relating and acting and behavior that is functional for them, interacting with each other and interacting with the parental subsystem as well, that will contribute to the effective and ongoing functionality of the larger family system. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that explains basically what I just explained now. There are 4 levels of feedback operating in a system. So simple feedback. Feedback is basically what you get out of the system, what the system produces. So simple feedback is an example of a simple exchange between the system and the environment. So the system would refer to the family. The environment is everything that surrounds the family. The school, church, the society, the community that you live in. So simple feedback is any interaction between the family as a whole, the family as a system, interacting with anything outside of the family. It could be another system as well, another family. Cybernetic feedback. Okay, this one can be slightly confusing. So I'm going to read it slowly and then I'm going to explain it to you. It says system feedback. System feeds back to a monitoring unit within the system, which sets in motion a systematic sorry, a systemic adjustment to the original output, like a thermostat. The family rules should not be too rigid. Rules should be obeyed for the good of the whole. Deviance or defiance of the rules is monitored by the system. Cybernetic control maintains the rules or the status quo, resulting in homeostasis. Systems develop typical ways of being which are reliable and predictable. Okay, can you tell me what that means? A lot of big words in there. Can anyone tell me what they think that means?
I think the rules is like the control. Yes, like it's exactly what it says, cybernetic control. It has to do with rules, and that way it can flow more better. I don't know, you know. So it's, I don't know.
Yeah, you're on the right track. You're on the right track. The rules or the boundaries of the system regulate the system, so it keeps it in sync. It keeps it in order. It keeps it away from being chaotic. Like it says, it maintains the status quo, resulting in homeostasis, resulting in peace, if we can call it that, in equilibrium. So cybernetic control basically refers to how a system regulates itself from within itself. So it's not people putting other rules into the system, the school telling you how to act, or the government, or the community. It's the family deciding rules for the family in order to keep the family running. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it looks complicated, but if we break it down, it's actually quite simple to understand. Right?
Yes.
Can I move on?
Yes.
Okay. Then we have morphogenesis. Okay. It says generating new ways of responding to a situation. Now responses are generated when tested methods are no longer work. So morphogenesis would occur when cybernetic control seems not to be working anymore. So someone within the system will then try a new rule or a new way of relating. It basically refers to the cybernetic control changing, or the rules or the boundaries within the family changing. Let's say, for instance, up until the young girl was 18, the rules and the cybernetic control for that system was that you can't go partying and you have to be home after a certain time and whatever. But now she's graduated from high school. She wants to go partying out with her friends. She wants to live. She wants to experience life. So the rules that were maintaining the system before a certain life stage, before a certain event, are now changing, are now being metamorphed. Morphogenesis means to change. So they're now being changed, where the boundaries are now being, let's say, stretched, if we can call it that. So she now comes to her father and she says, "Daddy, I'm now 18 years old. I believe that I'm at an age where I'm able to be responsible and I can make good decisions, and I would like to now extend my curfew from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And I would like to sleep over at my friend's house, or there's a party happening and I know I wasn't allowed to go to it when I was in school, but now I'm no longer in school, I'm in university, and I believe this is part of me growing and experiencing young adulthood, so I would now like to propose that a new cybernetic control be instituted in the system." So she asks, can I now then change the rules that once were to different rules? And if the cybernetic control is too rigid, the father will say, "No, I don't care, you under my roof and you'll do what I tell you to do, and you can't go," and this and that, creating friction and tension within the system. But if it's not rigid and it's flexible, then from the one subsystem, which is the parental subsystem, to the other subsystem, which is the sibling or child subsystem, they can then create not an ultimatum, an understanding of, okay, these are the boundaries that we had, because, like it says there, new responses are generated when tested methods no longer work. She's no longer happy about having to come home at 10 o'clock, so she's trying to generate a new response, a new boundary. So she says, okay, I'm going to come home at 12, and from there, new boundaries are then created. In an extreme example of morphogenesis, you find this a lot in South African families. It says unexpected crises to the system, such as marriage or death. Let's say the parents have HIV and they unfortunately pass away. Therefore, the parental subsystem has now dissipated. It is no longer. And one of the siblings needs to now take up the parental role. There we also have morphogenesis in that what was once a sibling subsystem now needs to become a parental subsystem, taking on more responsibility and accountability within the family. Do we understand that?
Yes, yes.
Example, morphogenesis, you know what it means.
Yeah.
If you wrote a test on it, you'll be able to explain it well.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, and then reorientation, that's self-explanatory. It says the family changes its goals. Dramatic change occurs in family life in which the entire system is converted to new ways of thinking. The example there is alcoholic family, but let's use a different example where perhaps the son is at university and he's trying to get his, let's say, his law degree, but unfortunately his mother loses her job and the father's income is no longer enough to sustain the family. Reorientation in this case, where the system is converted to new ways of thinking and the goals is changing, is that instead of the goal being to now get my law degree for the son, he will now perhaps need to put his studies on hold for a while and get a job so that his goal can be to sustain and support his family along with his father. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's a reorientation, it's changing of goals. His goal was first to get his law degree, now his goal is to sustain his family.
So the main difference between morphogenesis and reorientation is morphogenesis is about boundaries, and
yes.
Reorientation is just about goals.
Yes, because every family has, sorry?
They happen for the same reason when something dramatic happens.
Yes, or it doesn't always have to be something dramatic. It could also be simply a different life stage beginning to start.
Okay.
Like I made the example of the teenage daughter who's now becoming a young adult. That isn't a dramatic event, it's just a different life stage that she's going into. And therefore those boundaries need to change. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
It's also like when you were a little child and it was okay for you to shower and bath with your little brother or your little sister, but as a teenager you can understand how that would be kind of weird.
Yeah.
So it's nothing dramatic, it's just life changes happening, so now the rules and the boundaries need to change. And also remember that every system, every family has boundaries, whether it's written or unwritten, whether it's said or unsaid, as well as goals, whether they feel as if they know the goals or whether they don't know the goals at all. There are always goals and boundaries in the family. So morphogenesis has to do with boundaries and rules being changed, and reorientation has to do with goals being changed. And they can either be due to a dramatic event or a crisis or something big, or they can either be simply just because of a life stage change. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Are we good?
Yes.
Excellent. This is really fun. I'm enjoying this so much. I hope you guys are enjoying it.
Yes.
Okay, family development theories. Okay, so we looked at system theories now, eh? So now we're going to look at family development theories. It says family develops over the time through a natural course of life. Each stage of the family has predictable times of tension, and certain stages require more family structure than others. Families are dynamic rather than static, which means they're moving and they're growing instead of staying in the same place all the time. Not physically, but in other ways. Within each stage, there are certain developmental tasks which the family must accomplish in order to progress to the next stage. That's the example that I used. Let's say in the marital stage, in order to progress to the parenting stage, you have to have children. So that's what that means. And in order to be in the moving out of the nest stage, you have to have your children move out of the house. Well, not like you want to kick them out, but just they also need to progress in their lives. There are developmental tasks that each member must perform at a certain age. The family is only ready to move on once each individual as well as each unit has performed its task. Some tasks last through stages. For example, marriage, the couple takes time to get to communicate effectively. Like the marriage stage of the family development stays throughout the various stages. It's not like when the parental stage comes, the marriage stage ends. The marriage stage lasts throughout the parental, the getting out of the nest, and the elderly stage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's one of the stages that goes throughout the various stages. So here we go. This is interesting. So in the premarital stage, the major task is to move from your own family and decide, okay, this is the person that I would like to sort of spend the rest of my life with. Like the Bible says, a man will move away from his mother and father and will take unto him a wife, and they shall cleave together. Right? So that's stage one, the premarital stage. And in order to initiate the stage, you need to get engaged so that you know this is the person I'm going to marry. So that's the premarital stage. So there's a major task that needs to happen, and there's an initiating event, something that starts it. So the major task is you disconnecting from your family of origin. I don't mean cutting them off and not speaking to them. What I mean by saying differentiating from them is understanding that, okay, I'm my own person now, I am my own adult, and I am following my own course of life as of now. You don't have to move out of their house, you don't have to never see them or speak to them again. It's just about a mindset change. And then how the premarital stage gets initiated is by getting engaged. Does this make sense? Can we move on? Okay, the next stage is the marital stage. The major task in this one is adjusting to marital roles. In the house, who's going to cook and clean, who's going to do what, how are we going to share the labor, how are we going to share our money, what needs to be done by which family member. And the initiating event for this is actual marriage. Then we have the triad. Triad means three, which involves introducing a child into the family, either by birth or adoption. So the initiating event for the triad stage is the introduction of a child. And the major task for this event would be adjusting to having the child, because it means you're not going to sleep late anymore, you can't go out late, you can't do whatever it is that you want to do. Your life has to revolve around caring and looking after the new child. Various responsibilities that you didn't have when you were a couple, you now have as a couple. So it's a major task in adjusting to having a human being that is totally and completely dependent on you for survival and for developmental growth within the family. Then we have family with completed family, sorry. The completed family simply means you've now reached a stage where you're not going to have any more children. You can decide that at 1 child, you can decide it at 10 children, but whenever you've decided, okay, this is the line, we're not going to have any more children from there, that is when you can call your family, in inverted commas, completed. And the major task here is adjusting to the new family members and their various roles. Is the 4-year-old allowed to make coffee? The 10-year-old can now maybe make eggs. Who needs to do the dishes? Who needs to clean up their room? This type of thing. So it's adjusting to the various family roles within each individual. Then we have family with adolescents. It's the initiating event of this is the children's differentiating from the family. Like I said, differentiating doesn't mean leaving your family or disconnecting from them. It's just the realization of your own individuality within the family, realizing that you are your own person. That's the initiating event. And with this comes increasing flexibility within the system. So what word would that be?
The one where the boundaries are shifted.
Yes, morphogenesis. There we go. And then we've got the launching stage where the children choose their career. They've now graduated from college. They're choosing a career. They're choosing to pursue marriage. And the major task of this one, which is often hard for parents, is accepting the departure of the family members. The mother's crying, her baby's all grown up and he's leaving, and another woman is now going to cook for him, and she likes her food more than her food, and whatever it is. It's a tough thing for parents to adjust to, the launching stage. And then the post-launching stage, which is the departure of the very last child of the home, the youngest child. All the others are in their 30s and their 40s. They've gone on to marry and have a career. And there's just like a 22 or 23-year-old that's still in the house, and he eventually decides, okay, I'm also going to get my life together. I'm going to move out the house. I'm going to pursue a career. I'm going to study. I'm going to do whatever it is. And then the parents need to accept the aloneness and accept the aging process as well. Understand that they're now in their 60s or 70s, that they are elderly people, and they now need to make peace with the fact that they are aging. Sounds like a wonderful life process, eh?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, life doesn't always work this way, because there are so many struggles and pitfalls. There's divorce, there's death, there's lack of funding and finances that get in the way of this. So this is just a basic generic optimistic view of family development, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Are there any comments or questions so far?
No, thank you.
Okay. So the 4 major areas, let me just see something here. Okay, this will be our last slide. There are 4 major areas that families are compared. So the areas are cohesion, adaptability. Cohesion means togetherness, how together we are. Adaptability, that makes sense, how well you are able to adapt. Communication, and then role structure. There are certain things that, according to the table, according to this study, would make a family weak and would make a family strong. In terms of cohesion, a strong family will have a good sense of individualization, of I'm an individual, I'm my own person, and in addition to that, a good sense of mutuality, of although I am my own person and I am my own individual, I still exist within this family, I still exist within the group, and I find my identity within myself and on my own as well, but I also find it within the family and in the larger group. It's like a wolf wolves do really well on their own, and they can hunt on their own, and they howl at the moon and whatever it is, but they also hunt in packs. So he finds his identity as an individual, but also he finds his identity within the pack. Does that make sense? So strong family has a good balance between individualization and finding your identity within the family, within the group. And a weak family would have enmeshment where there's the family is too close. There's no room for being an individual. It's like certain families, let's say the surname is Davids. They know you only as part of the Davids family, but they don't even know your name. So there's no individual identity, there's only a group identity. You're so enmeshed that your identity is only found within your larger family context. And there's disengagement, which is the opposite extreme in that there's too much individualization and you don't even see yourself as part of your family. Even though you live in the same house and you in the same eat together and whatever, you just see yourself as I'm my own person and I'm not a part of this group. I'm not a part, I'm just my own individual. So in terms of cohesion, those are the various balances that we need to find. In adaptability, a good strong family is flexible, and although they are flexible, they're still stable. So the father can then say to the daughter, okay, you are 18 years old now, you are in your first year of university, so therefore it's okay for you to go out at 12 o'clock, but I want you to let me know at all times where you are. So the father's flexible, and though he's flexible, the structure is still stable. So the structure doesn't disintegrate because of rules being changed. On the other end of it, where there's no flexibility and stability, there would be chaos. Either there'll be no rules at all, and it's fine, you can just do whatever you want, go out, come back whenever you like, this, that, and the other. Girl comes back drunk, she falls pregnant, she loses out on her studies, all these crazy things happen because there was no healthy boundaries set in place. Or the other extreme is where the rules are too rigid. The parents allow no space for the children to grow and to explore. And what happens? You find the child sneaking out and doing this and doing that, and they still end up doing the things that they weren't supposed to do because the rules were too rigid. So a healthy family is able to adapt, able to be flexible, but yet still stable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does it sound like it actually makes sense, like it's a reality?
It really does, yes.
Okay, awesome. Communication. This is simple. In a good, healthy family, there will be good communication. People will be allowed to voice their feelings, to voice their criticisms in a healthy, constructive way. And then in an unhealthy family, you will find there's either no communication at all, so no one knows what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and you end up sort of just bottling everything up on the inside and then bursting from inside somehow through whatever maladaptive behavior or rebellious behavior, or the communication is destructive. So people are always putting you down and highlighting your bad parts and not constructively criticizing, but just putting you down or whatever. That makes sense. And then the role structure. A healthy family will know, okay, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I need to do the dishes. Mondays and Thursdays, my sister will do the dishes. And we have no conflict about these roles. We know what our roles are. We know when we need to do it. We know when it needs to be done. An unhealthy family will have the opposite, always arguing about, no, I did the dishes last night and you can do it tonight, and I did it 3 nights in a row and I'm sick and tired of cleaning up after you, this, that, and the other. I'm just using the illustration of dishes to illustrate to you the various roles and structure that we have. Are we good? Any questions?
No, we're fine.
I'm going really, really fast. Are you sure I didn't go too fast?
No, it's fine. We understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's great. That's today's tutorial. Read the lecture on, let me just get the title quickly. There should be lecture slides called Week 5. It should say Week 5 on Funde somewhere. That goes, no, not Week 5, sorry, forget Week 5. It should just say Family Development. You see the Family Development? Family Development lecture slide. You see it?
Yes.
Okay. For the holidays, I want you to read through that because that goes into deeper detail about the family developmental system. No, not developmental system, the developmental theory. Because what are the two family perspectives?
System and development.
Perfect. So I explained to you about the system theories a bit. Now the lecture slides that say family development, that goes deeper into the developmental stages. So I want you to read through that and understand it and get a good understanding of it, and we'll have a good chat about that another time as well.
Okay.
Otherwise, we're good?
Yes.
Job.
Awesome. You'll get your marks soon. Don't worry. You guys did relatively well. Enjoy the weekend and the vacation that you have. Make good decisions, make responsible decisions, and enjoy life.
Thank
you.
Awesome. See you guys. Keep well.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.